gotta see it my way. Do I have to keep on?
John Lennon, a name that echoes through the decades. But what if I told you that the story behind the legend is far more intense, full of twists, and marked by moments as tragic as they are grand? It all began on October 9, 1940, in Liverpool, England. The world was at war. Little John Winston Lennon was born to the sound of bombs falling from the sky. His childhood was anything but conventional. His father, Alfred Lennon, was a sailor who spent more time away than at home. His mother, Julia, loved music, but wasn't stable enough to raise him. At the age of 5, John was sent to live with his aunt, Mimi, who raised him with strict discipline, always telling him that music would never take him anywhere. But something inside him screamed for freedom, a rebellious, restless spirit that soon found refuge in rock and roll. Inspired by Elvis Presley, he formed a band called the Quarrymen in 1956. Around that time, he met Paul McCartney. Destiny was set. Paul saw something special in John. John saw in Paul a partner who could match him. The arrival of George Harrison. And later, Ringo Starr completed what would become the biggest musical phenomenon of all time, the Beatles. But the road to stardom wasn't easy. At first, no one took those boys from Liverpool seriously. They were rejected by several record labels. Guitar bands are on the way out, they were told. But in 1962, everything changed. With the support of manager Brian Epstein and producer George Martin, the Beatles finally exploded. Love Me Do paved the way for unprecedented success. Within a few years, the entire world was consumed by Beatlemania. John Lennon, with his sharp wit and provocative artistic vision, quickly became the intellectual leader of the band. His songwriting went beyond the romantic tunes of the time. He questioned society, challenged authority, and delved into deeper themes. Help, Nowhere Man, Strawberry Fields Forever. Every song reflected his restless mind, his search for something greater. But not everything was smooth. Worldwide fame came with an enormous weight. In 1966, John made a controversial statement. The Beatles are more popular than Jesus. The phrase was taken out of context and caused a massive scandal, especially in the United States. Radio stations boycotted their music. Fans burned their records. John was forced to apologize publicly. It was during this turbulent time that he met Yoko Ono, a conceptual artist who made him see the world differently. Their love was immediate and intense, but her presence in John's life caused friction within the band. He became more and more distant from the group, until in 1970, the Beatles came to an end. For many, it was the end of an era. For John, it was the beginning of a new phase. He threw himself into his solo career with full force. He released Imagine, a peace anthem that became one of the most iconic songs in history. But life outside the Beatles wasn't just success and tranquility. John faced drug problems, political persecution, and was even forced into exile in the United States. The U.S. government, disturbed by his activism, tried to deport him several times. After years of turbulence, he decided to take a break from music to dedicate himself to his family. He spent 5 years away from the spotlight, taking care of his son, Sean. But in 1980, he decided to return. He released the album Double Fantasy, marking his triumphant comeback. It seemed like John Lennon was ready for a brilliant new chapter. But then, the unthinkable happened. On December 8, 1980, John was returning home to the Dakota Building in New York. At the entrance, a man named Mark David Chapman, an obsessed fan, pulled out a revolver and fired 5 shots. John Lennon collapsed into Yoko Ono's arms. Minutes later at the hospital, he was pronounced dead. The world was in shock. An entire generation lost its most influential voice. But John Lennon never truly died. His music, his message, and his defiant spirit live on. Imagine still inspires millions. His words still echo. His story still fascinates. Now tell me, which John Lennon song has marked your life? Comment below and don't forget to like and follow for more epic music stories.